we're going to do a recap. This campaign has been going on for...
Oh, yes, I needed this.
2 years now.
Oh,
And
man, you have no idea.
some of us have forgotten things. And
know things to begin with.
Man, I haven't forgotten a thing. I remember every single bit of it.
whenever Isaac
Oh, yeah?
joined, I was just like, just try to keep up. It's like, I don't know where to start. So what I'm gonna do is I'll edit this thing out and I'll put it like as a separate video, so then I can have like a link in our description. So if someone comes in episode 50 and they think, hey, I'm gonna watch these guys, they seem halfway entertaining. Except for that kid down there. What's that kid doing here? I'm gonna watch him.
Oh, that's good.
I will say, however,
Hey, listen, the kids is the best. Kids is the best one.
I've gotten like a couple comments saying how everyone likes
Except for the
Bert.
cat.
I don't know what
About what?
people like Bert.
Nice.
Exactly. See, because Bert's the
Bert's
best
great.
character. Except for the cats. The cats are better.
Speaking of Bert, the cats. What?
Jack the cat.
Jack the cat. Yeah, I know. Everyone likes my dang cat.
So we're gonna do a recap. I've got the thing all written out. This is what I spent my hours doing, is writing out this recap. I've been meaning to do this for a while, and I just knew that I wouldn't. So I thought, well, I'll write it up, and then I'll do it here live. That way I won't, if I do forget something, you guys can help me. And
Do it live.
There you go. Yeah, do it live. So anyway, campaign recap. This is 2 years of our D&D campaign, which began on my kitchen table, and through a number of circumstances has become an online thing, which started like 2/3 of the way through this 2-year thing. So the story begins. We were all started out here on this desert island called Tiyal. The party began as slaves imprisoned by the Empire and thrown out to a slave camp here on the Empire, on the island of Tiyal. They have some slave camps set up here. The Empire, which was run by an emperor, a guy who basically proclaimed himself as deity of the Empire. Magic was outlawed. The only person really who had magic and had power was the sort of Darth Vader type figure, his daughter, Lanai. And they very quickly started taking over the home continent, which were all of the PCs were from. And everyone got shipped over here into the slave camps. So, first night, everyone breaks out of the slave camps with the help of some tribal bird folks, some Kinku folks, in this slave camp right over here. I should have a light right over here. And they escaped into the hills just to the west. And oh, by the way, in those slave camps, they were mining this mysterious black metal, as well as searching for some sort of artifact they don't know about. Well, they're slaves, of course. And they escaped into the tribal Kinku caves. From there, they ventured north. By the way, this is a very quick rundown, so I'm going to miss some things here. But they ventured north, and they traveled up along the ridge, and they discovered a town called Maz up here. They discovered a necromancy tower, lots of dead, blackened lands to the northwest side of the island, up this way. And they, while in the town of Maz, they learned of this camp called Last Hope, which is basically a camp full of escaped slaves. While heading towards that camp, which is over this way, they started heading over this way. They came across a grove. The only green spot in this entire desolate place that they came across was this green grove of trees and grass, and it wasn't the prettiest thing, but it was a green patch of land, first thing they'd seen. They discovered some very strange animals that had almost been necrotically patched back together, like they had a wolf with a deer leg and some strange sick creatures that were living in this grove, along with a druid and his buddy dog. The druid's name was Garrick, a little gnome, and his buddy dog's name was Raoul. When they entered that grove, also they felt this strong magic aura, something that was very apparent to the magic users, that it was something was going on here in this grove. While they were there, they fought some of the dead. One of the lieutenants of the necromancy tower was fighting against the grove. They also fought some spiders. Then they learned about what was creating this power was a thing called an eye of Taras. And they didn't know much about it, but they knew that something about this artifact was here. From there, helping out the druid a bit, they ventured into Last Hope, over this way. And this is a little camp of ex-slaves that had escaped from the slave camps and sort of banded together. And their mission was to seek out and free the slaves from those camps. They met Mara. I got some figures here. Mara over here, who was leader of this camp. They also met Daz, the dwarf, who sort of helped run the missions as well. And, of course, Kyler. Everyone remembers Kyler because he's a hero. Just one of the ex-slaves that was in this camp. And basically just went out on missions and sort of saved. From time to time, they'd grab folks and bring them in. And just try to be the good folks of the world. Get out of here, flying guy. While they were there... Where am I here? One of their scouts, one of the scouts of Last Hope, got captured, they feared, by the local town, the only town really on the island, run by the Empire, called Crawport. This is where the slaves came in, where the minerals went out, the items went out, and one of their scouts was gone. I can't remember. Apome was his name. They snuck into Crawport, and while there, they met a map maker named Bartok, who was more than just a map maker. And they also got captured while they were there. They set things ablaze. It was a big ruckus. One of our characters, one of our party members, got lost at sea. Eventually was captured, but a new character came in. And this Bartok managed to sneak them out of town once they were captured in the prisons. He took them down south to a big magical floating tower run by a guy named Lenzerus. Very powerful wizard. He was kind of a very grumpy, shut off from the world, doesn't want anything to do with what's going on out there kind of wizard. And they kind of met him. He was just kind of a jerk. And they ventured on their way. And they wanted to complete their task that Bartok had given them, which, unbeknownst to them, Bartok was part of the sort of like underground, terroristy kind of do anything you can to stop the Empire group. And they sent out west to a lake out here, the water supply of the town. While they were there, they discovered an old keep up in the mountains. A secret keep no one knew about. Wasn't on any maps that they found. And in this keep, they discovered a devil down in the basement down below. Along with that devil, they found a portal, an open portal that was clearly going somewhere, not on this plane. They killed the devil quite easily. They took the shroud, which is basically like a Bugs Bunny hole, a blanket that they opened it up. Portal was there. Also, while in there was a dead body, just bones of an old bard, who I didn't write his name down. An old bard. Sarvesh was the name. Thank you. And with that bard, they found a journal, which revealed all kinds of things about sort of the background story of this, about who Lenzerus was, Alzira, who was the necromancer up in the northwest there, a halfling druid named Ral, who was also the dog's name in the grove, a monk, and a dwarf. We're all in this party that ventured here years ago. They met an old crazy frogman named Chug, who told them about these artifacts, crazy old frogman, and they went on adventuring, basically trying to and digging up these artifacts. The journal only covered basically the early days of the journal, or the first half of their journal, but there was some arguing going on and disputes about what to do with them once they found these very, very powerful artifacts. From there, they discovered an old monastery up to the northwest. They kind of ventured out this way, found an old monastery, which was run by the monk that was part of that party. I remember the name. What was the name of the monk?
Yusaki.
I can find it pretty
Yusaki
quick.
was your character's name.
Oh, yeah.
He was your
my
master.
tiefling that died.
Yeah.
He died in the basement.
I have my
Where we
notes,
got
but I don't have
the portal.
my other notes.
Yeah.
So
I can
they
find
met.
it pretty quick.
That was like the end of chapter 1.
Yeah. They met just a ransacked monastery that was a runtime run by that ex-party member's monk who went up and built a monastery out there. They ventured out and they took Last Hope, who were out in this little cobbled up shack, and led them down here to this new keep that they found. They figured a good place to stash these guys, help them out, give them a place to stay. They figured
Frumas or something? The name of the monk?
Name of the monk.
Aramis.
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 Yeah, Aramis. So the Last Hope folks needed help finding a new home, so they led them down here into this keep and escorted them to set up shop in this keep. Last Hope Keep, they call it now. Let's see. They learned of a lizard folk city down here in the southwest, which isn't here. We'll get there in a moment. They sort of ventured around the south part for a bit. While they were down there, Dawes and friends were on their way and got captured at one of these slave camps. I believe it was this one here at the water. And the party got a wise idea. And this is where the story, where my part of the story goes in the trash and the new campaign begins. The party goes to save the day at the slave camp, and they think, hey, we have a portal to a demon realm. Let's just open the portal, let a demon out, deal with the slave camp, close up the portal, deal with the devil, and then job's done. Well, they opened up the portal, which didn't open to the same plane they were at before, brought out a very powerful demon, which we now know is Alenta, who just sort of slaughtered everything and ended up taking the shroud as well, the portal, and heading for the hills and running off that way. And let's see. So time goes by, and dark clouds start brewing over the hills. And some strange creatures start pouring out of the hills as well from the abyss, they learn later on. They meet with Alzira. They meet with Lorius, which I've got marked up here. Alzira is the dark elf necromancer, who's the head necromancer person, part of that party as well. Lorius is sort of like a lieutenant of hers. Them and Lorius team up, and they're not getting much help from Lenzerus. They're not getting any help from Garrick, and so they venture down into the hole, which was created, or which is where Alenta went to try to get this portal back, because all that's going to happen is bad things pouring out of this hole. So they head down, way down below the hills. They meet some Durgar. They meet a deep gnome fortress that's been overrun with some sort of strange glowing fungus, which is sort of resurrecting these dead gnomes. And it takes over the bodies and sort of animates. That's the word. Reanimates these bodies with the fungus. Something. For some reason, Bert got wounded and poured. I think Finn poured some on an open wound on his shoulder. I think they were looking for some sort of healing remedy out of these mushrooms.
He had mummy rot.
Oh, right, he had mummy rot.
Everyone had mummy rot.
And you didn't know how to deal with it, so you're just like, well, try the mushrooms. And so you poured it on a big gash, a big mummy rot.
We were trying everything because we were all
Bert's
dying.
Body, and the fungus took hold, and fungus started growing on Bert and taking over his body.
It saved him from mummy rot.
He had like his whole arm, his face was starting to take over by this fungus. He gained dark vision out of it, but also a sensitivity to light. They eventually found Alenta's camp, and Alenta was building an army to come through the portal. There was lots of things, an army of abyss things that were set up in this sort of lava cave down there. Big fight took place. We lost one of our PCs there. There you go. And while this is going on,
was Jack around this time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
I think
We also lost you.
She was.
We lost Sam there too.
Yeah, we lost
didn't
Sam there
mention
too.
when-
Oh, that's right.
Hang on,
We lost two there.
Yeah, you didn't mention when Bert got old.
Oh yeah, when you were at the monastery a while back, you guys came across a ghost, turned Bert old. Yeah. So Bert was an old man,
Yeah.
fungus all over
He
him.
was
Bert
old. Yeah,
was having
he
troubles.
was. Yeah.
So while this big fight is going on, what was your guy's name?
Yuri?
Yuri and Sam died. Finn snuck in behind and grabbed that into the room where the portal was open. Grabbed a corner, jumped through the portal, collapsing the portal in on itself, causing a great explosion and a rift through the planes. This shroud, which they never identified, never were able to Every time you open it, it was a sort of a random which plane it would open to. So it caused a rift across all the planes. They've got the Feywild, Celestial, Shadowfell, Abyss, the Nine Hells, Material.
Planes.
Yeah, all the planes. Well, 8 of the planes were connected there. And so when that happens, I think it was every hour, you guys are sort of bouncing around. Like an hour go by, then all of a sudden, whoop, you're in the Feywild. An hour go by, whoop, you're in the Nine Hells. Just sort of bouncing and bouncing and bouncing. Including you would be folks like Alenta was doing that as well. There was several folks that were sort of bouncing along with you. And you got some help from Lenzerus, finally getting involved. And he gave you a recipe, basically, to learn how to close them. You had to close them each individually from each plane. And while you're in the Feywild, you discovered an old destroyed Eladrin city, which was Yuri's original home. The Shadowfell, you met a vampire who jumped into the rift as well and started bouncing around with you guys. You went to the Abyss, and you found where Alenta came from and saw their fortress. You went to the Nine Hells, and you met Ballas. And Ballas was a memorable fella. Also, while you were bouncing around and in the Nine Hells, you came across a ghost of Lenzerus. You learned that Lenzerus had died in this big battle as he came down to help you guys out. Him and Alzira were both in that fight along with Alenta and all that army. They eventually showed up while you guys were bouncing around.
And that's where my new character came in.
Yeah, that's right. That's where Shira came in.
You forgot to mention where my character came in, but that's all right.
You were with
You
the
came in,
spiders. Yeah.
Oh, the spiders. Yeah.
And so this ghost of Lenzerus, while they're in the Nine Hells, inhabited Shiro and flooded all these memories of his into Shiro. Basically trying to get across the point of save Maris, an old flame of his, a Yuan-Ti that he met a while back, who was in the Nine Hells and had been captured by Ballas. He learned things. He saw visions of like the old party together. He saw that Lorius, who is now a necromancer who was helping him out, was also at one point part of the Druids, Garrick and Raoul. Raoul was not always a dog. Lenzerus, they saw him giving an eye to the Yuan-Ti city, which used to be right here in this hole over here. They also saw that city blowing up. Shiro saw this. You saw Lenzerus with Maris. You saw Lenzerus polymorphing Raoul into a dog because he was furious because he blamed Raoul for losing Maris to Ballas. This is a couple years ago happening. And in his search for Maris, looking for Ballas. Sort of all these memories that kind of came flooding into you. This is why you're in the Nine Hells. You've ended up freeing Maris, and you got Tova, who was a lost Yuan-Ti. And the only way you got out of the Nine Hells was by offering your souls to Ballas. That was Finn, Shiro, and Lenzerus.
And that's it.
Were the three
that
were offered to Ballas. And then he agreed to let you go. And of course, he got to go with you to the material plane. So you close that one up. You came to the material plane. The rift was closed. Alenta, Ballas, the vampire were all still here on the material plane. So that whole bouncing around thing's over with. Everything's closed. Save the day, sort of. And
It's like end of chapter 2.
Ballas and Alenta, big fight. Party runs away. So you don't really know what happens with that. You quickly run to Lenzerus' tower to secure the eyes because Lorius disappears, and you only assume that she's going to get Alzira to get those eyes that are just sitting there at his tower, because you know that he has some. You know Alzira has one. You know that Raoul has, or Garrick has one. These are all super powerful artifacts that you've learned more things about now that are just these. You don't know where they're from. Just incredibly powerful artifacts that a few of these folks have. And you guys run to the tower. You find the tower is broken on the ground over here, and it is empty. And you see a large army of the dead, led by Alzira, who is marching on this tower. And rather than fight, you and Maris is still with you, lead you guys to an invisible town down here to the south, the town of South Shore. Which, as you guys are walking along, it's just nothing there. You walk through a field, and all of a sudden, whoop! There's a town. This town has humans and Yuan-Ti, some of the refugees from that old blown-up city, came here. And Lenzer seemed to sort of look after this town. He also gave them an eye to give them that invisibility power. While you're there, there's a baker who murders his wife. You watch this baker. His punishment is to row out to sea, and this massive kraken comes and eats him up. This town sort of worships this kraken. Adro is his name. There is a siren in the water at the lighthouse who sort of is the Adro Pope, who speaks for the kraken. The town sort of worships this thing. And you also meet the son of that murdered wife and now husband is Leaf, little kid, who gets taken under and watched out by Haggis, who runs the local tavern. Also, while you're there, you meet Arobi, who is, you don't know this, but he is an incubus in disguise. He's just sort of a friendly guy trying to stir chaos in the town. And he manages to talk you guys into murdering the captain of the guard by launching a consecutive amount of impressive fireballs into a tower window, murdering the poor guy.
Kabang!
Murdered him real good.
Hey, listen, there was magic weapons on the line, alright? We had to do it.
There was.
And let's see. While you're at Lenzerus's tower, you found the crystal, which is what was holding Raoul's polymorph. So you head back up to the grove, and you shatter that crystal along with Maris, freeing Raoul from his polymorph, from years of polymorph. That's a halfling druid. And where am I at here? The grove is in dire shape because this Alzira's tower seems to have been taken over by devils now. It seems Ballas has set up shop over here now. There's devils running around wreaking havoc on the grove, and they're doing all they can to keep this thing up and running, but they can only hold off so long. Let's see. You find the Empire starting to build automatons. You see that they have started grabbing. They've at least got at least one of these eyes. They have at least one. And they've started to come into the island with automatons, these powerful machines that they are somehow constructing. You had a big fight near Last Hope here with some lizard folk. You also fought the Empire down there as well. At one point, you framed the Empire in killing a lizard man diplomatic envoy. And you offered the bodies to Ballas as part of your soul owning. You framed the Empire in the whole act. And then you moved the Last Hope folks
Forgot about that.
up to the monastery. Because this was not safe. There was Empire folks coming through here. Some of them had seen you. So you had to get them out of there real quick and get them moved up to the monastery. So they have moved again. Let's see. So, you know that Ballas has taken that tower now. And so Maris's only thought is to get Lenzerus back. If you can go in there, you can get in the portal, get his body, get it resurrected somehow. So you go back to the grove with Garrick and Raoul, the two druids. You work together with Alzira, who runs the necromancers, as well as some of the spiders who live in the hills up here to go and attack that tower. While the fight's going on, you notice some of this glowing fungus that you love so much, David, is starting to come out of a lava tube in the ground. And so there's that fight going on, as well as all the demons and the undead, not demons, devils and undead. You do make it into the tower. You get Lenzerus' body, who is still alive. You bring him out. I think you ran into hell. Right, you ran into hell, grabbed him through a portal, and then jumped back out real quick, and then got out. Ballas comes out, starts beating some things down, but you escape back into the grove with very injured Lenzerus, very weak Lenzerus. Raoul, who you assume is going to help him, pulls out a knife and stabs him in the chest, and then reincarnates him into a deer, sort of a payback for the angry little halfling. So you have Lenzerus, big bad wizard, is now a deer. Let's see. So the party goes to South Shore and looks for help on what to do about Lenzerus being a deer now. Maris disappears, and you can only assume that she has gone to try to free Lenzerus, because Maris and Lenzerus have a thing. This is where the home campaign ends and the live stream thing begins. Everyone following along yet? How long have we been going here? I thought maybe we can do this in 20 minutes. I don't think it's going to happen. Are you completely lost yet?
No, we got it.
Okay, so
yeah, sounds about right.
I'm pretty lost, but I wasn't there for any of this.
so Maris is gone. You were able to track her with a scrying stone, the wizard of South Shore, Vulcus, and you tracked her in somewhere in the middle of this mountain range or hill range, and so you set up to go find her. You find her in an old temple cave full of vampires, including a very familiar vampire to Finn, who was living in the Shadowfell, who has built himself up a whole new band of vampires, including Maris. And this is where we come across Rook, who is one of the soon-to-be vampires. He's basically human jerky at the moment, or half-elf jerky, because he is getting feasted on. But they manage to save the day, to kill the vampire. They save Rook. They also grab a dead vampire, Maris. Was she dead when you grabbed her, or was she still
No,
a
she
vampire?
wasn't dead.
She was
She's
just a
still
vampire.
alive.
Yeah, right. You tied her up.
We wrapped her up.
So you had Maris. You took her to the Druids, because it's the only person you know who can raise the dead. They resurrected her. Now she's a bear.
Boom! Now she's a bear.
So, what do? You go to South Shore and look for help. So you go to South Shore, and they say, well, they don't really say much, but they head out. I don't think they knew they were going out. And you just see them coming back. Vulcus has a glint in his eye because he has found something. He has himself a new eye that Raoul once had. He has dealt with the problem. And he also has Lenzerus, a deer, Maris, the bear, and Tova, the one you guys saved from hell, is with them as well, bringing them back into town. They lock up Lenzerus. Maris doesn't want to leave Lenzerus behind, and Tova's not happy. While you're there, you learn that the lizard folk over here in the city, which is not here, which we'll soon talk about, have obtained an eye from an attack on the Empire. These guys are now at war, and they have, while raiding a ship, they took an eye, and they've got one. Lenzerus had someone who took his belongings and brought it in the South Shore. A guy by the name of, I don't remember, bald guy, in the South Shore, and he informed you that they have an eye and you need to get it because they don't know what they're dealing with. So you sneak into the city, come around the border
Yeah,
here.
but neither do we, and he doesn't give us any information.
He just says bring it to him. You sneak into the town through the sewers, like all good movies.
Atan, I think, was his name.
What?
Atan.
Atan. Yeah, that's right. You sneak into the city. You make your way to the keep, which is now under siege by the Empire. There's a whole battalion of Empire troops outside, who, by the way, wear the black armor of the metal that you guys were mining. This is where they get it. They were mining it from here. That's the beginning of the story. And Lunai is even out there. Big siege going on, and the lizard folk don't know what to do with this eye, and it seems to be they've opened it up, which is this thing is closed in a lead box. They've opened it up. Their lead researcher is lost his mind, and it seems to be just making people go mad. They don't know what to do with this thing. And so Shiro, not knowing what to do with it, sticks some magical fire into it, and everything goes dark. Ready for Act 3?
Yes.
Okay, everyone's dead. Some of you are in hell. Those that belong to Ballas are in hell. Bert, you make your way to the celestial realm, and you're there with Todicus.
Odicus.
I made it to heaven.
Jack, you failed to give me a backstory, so you end up in the Astral Sea.
He had
and-
the backstory. He's mysterious.
Yeah.
They were like, what?
Rook is surprisingly in hell with his patron. What was
It's so
what was her name?
confusing.
Atera?
Uh,
Alara?
no.
Oh, wow, you don't even-
Aerolus.
Don't even know your own
Sorry.
god.
Too many E's.
So many.
I didn't make that one. He made that one.
Aerolus. So, which is surprising because you wouldn't think she'd be a hell residing person. Anyway,
It's like how warm it is.
after a couple years go by, not realizing one gaming session, a couple years go by, the party eventually reunites. Bart asks to go back home. He's like, you know what? This heaven stuff, too good for me. Send me back to hell.
Hey, listen, I never said to take me to hell. I said take me back. I'll go with my
To where
friends.
your friends were.
Yeah.
That were in hell.
No, not all of them were in hell. Jack was in.
Alzira manages to make
Heaven.
contact with Jack while he's in the astral sea, just wandering around, and she reses him. And
Send
she,
them to hell.
she says, "Go find,
get your
get the band together and bring them back. I need you." And she sends him to hell through way of Aerolus, Rook's patron. So eventually they all get together, and after those 2 years have passed, you have a big fight. Big fight with Ballas. Ballas dead. And you find a portal that a couple of other imps and incubus and succubus have jumped through, and you jump through as well, which takes you to the land of Corin, which is where a bunch of elves live. And you're in this wooded forest of elves. You got a week before they are the ones they trade with South Shore, so you can have a portal to get through. While you're there, some of you don't want to be there at all. You just want to get back home, so you don't care what I say or what kind of hooks I try to give you. But Rook learns more about Aerolus being from the Feywild, and something happened, and now Aerolus is in hell. You're not really sure why. You do find some incubus and succubuses that are performing rituals disguised as elves outside the city. They're also abducting kids. And these devils seem to be dealing with some sort of abyssal stuff. So you guys make your way back to South Shore through the portal. The town is now 2 years later. Big city. There's humans. There's Yanti, of course. There's merfolk. Kuatoa, which we call Murlocs here. And is that all of them? Yeah, and some sea elves that also live in that town now. There seems to be some sort of cold war with Alzira. There was an agreement to, like, a line kind of drawn in the sand and the dirt. She was ransacking the slave camps and doing what she does, and they were building up their navy and forces in the Kumato Empire down here.
Union.
I want to call it an empire.
Right, we already have an
Bad
empire.
stuff always happens with empires.
The Kumato Union also control the Kraken. Well, they have an agreement with Alicia, who was the siren at the lighthouse. And they now have control of the Kraken, which means they control the seas. And when they come out, they make their way. They find their last hope folks are living in the old temple. That's where the vampire was. I guess you guys did you guys move them there? Did I skip
I
that
think you
far?
told them about it, and they went there.
Yeah, I think you guys told them about it, so they moved there. So there were still some of them there. They seem to be living under Alzira's rule. Seemed to be okay with it. You went and met with Alzira, who looked very young now. Before, she looked kind of old and decrepit. In fact, a lot of folks looked old and decrepit, like Lenzer certainly did, Alzira did, Raoul and Garrick. They all kind of had a tinge of haggardness to them. Alzira, however, looks young gray elf, and she is wanting to know how to avoid the Kraken, because they are sailing ships around, the South Shore folks are, without getting attacked. So there's still going to be some sort of secret to it. So you decide to head to Saltport, which is way up north here, your favorite place. For the first time in the campaign. Now, how many times before
yeah.
I tried to get you to go there, you wouldn't listen, but now you decide to go to Saltport. And you find the
And I want
frog.
to leave immediately.
The frog town. So in the
Best
frog
town in
town,
the whole island.
there's a new tower in town. The town is in shambles. It's just in poverty. There's undead living outside. There's a necromancer living. You don't really know his necromancer, but there's a necromancer named Montreux living in town, sort of keeping these frogs under his thumb, asking for them to bring him sea creatures. And the frogs are living in fear under this guy. He kills them, and he just sort of torments these frogs. They also meet Chug, who's a crazy old frog man who we heard before from the histories, the memories of Lenzerus, because he's the guy that told the original party about the day the sky turned red and the Eye of Taras. And also Chug has a portal to the Shadowfell in his house.
Also, he's good at terraforming.
It's like his closet.
They say, no more Shadowfell for me, and you head south. Let's see, when was this? Right, this right. Yep. So you don't deal with the necromancer yet. You just head south to the monastery, over here. I don't remember what sent you over there, but you went that way.
We went to the tower to check it out first.
We were on a mission to check stuff out.
You came to the tower. Right. You came to the Alzira's old tower, which is run by Ballas. Ballas, of course, is dead. And doesn't seem to be anything there. It seems to be pretty empty. There is the ring. The ring must shatter was also a thing mentioned a lot with the Corin elves. And you saw that written on the walls inside this tower. But other than that, pretty quiet. Then you headed south to the monastery.
Pretty quiet. We ran out of there.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's a lot. Okay, so you ran away. There's a lot of dead things around. There's other things around, and you made your way to the monastery, where you met another necromancer named Bartholomew. Barnabas. You met Barnabas. He was mentioned in the first day one of campaign. Barnabas. I finally got to bring him out 2 years later. Barnabas was running the monastery. Necromancers, dead things all around it. There was a large crystal in the center of this monastery, magical crystal, and he said he was managing the army this side of the island, and his job was to keep Alenta locked away in that tower. They had a binding ring of runes around it. The ring must shatter, and they had him locked away in there. They also, this necromancer in his basement was doing some experiments. He was doing research for the dead. He was capturing people from the town, just grabbing people up, killing them, and doing just sort of nasty research on these people. He's a bad guy.
Yeah, and this is when half our group grew a conscience all of a sudden.
Yep, and the party's like, ooh, that's ugly. Let's leave. So the party leaves, and you head back to South Shore. On your way back, you run into a new adventuring party, led by a paladin, a very heroic paladin, whose mission is to deal with the dead. And so you watch for a while, then you assist them. They go in, they smash the crystal, it explodes. The undead are no longer controlled. You go in and assist them and sort of retrieve them out of there. Barnabas escapes and scares you off a little bit. You guys take off running again. You guys run away a lot. Not killing.
You have a lot of really strong, scary stuff going on, and when we do end up facing it, it's a pushover.
So you
Alice was.
you run by just sort of check on last hope, and you have a run in with some leftover lizard folk. You kill some lizard folk parents. Sad
we
day.
didn't know.
Parents.
Wow. You come walking back down south of South Shore with your heads hang down low, and you get a vision or an introduction with young Alzira again, who basically threatens you and says, "You got 2 weeks to do what I asked you to do, or else you're gonna die."
Yeah.
And you say, "Okay," and then you head to South Shore.
You bet.
And you hop on a boat, and you have a new mission. Forget Alzira. Let's go to Saltport and save the day, because these necromancers are bad news. Apparently,
this was a rook virtue signaling kind of thing going on right here.
I didn't know about all this bad stuff. You guys just brought me along. Like, yeah, this is
No, I tried to talk you out of this.
Alinta. She's pretty cool.
I tried to talk you out of this crap.
And so you head to Saltport, around the island, up to Saltport, making your way without any issues from Kraken.
Downtown.
And you head to the spawn islands for the frogs. You grab the young, the old, the feeble, and you bring them into the land covered in undead, and think this is a good idea. And you have a big fight. You battle it out with Montreux, the necromancer, who's doing these experiments on these sea creatures, creating abominations, using these crystal fragments. Which somebody please read the journal that I gave you 2 weeks ago, so I can explain what happened there. And
I tried to read a journal.
Montreux's journal. I said it like 2 weeks in a row. You got Montreux's journal.
I think we did read it.
As soon as I picked it up.
So
I didn't pick it up. You did. You were holding it. That's what
so you have this journal of Montreux, who basically he's not no fan of Alenta's, Alzira's, and he's been doing these experiments on sea creatures, creating abominations out of them. And then you head back home. Well, home. You head back to South Shore.
Hey, by the way,
you brought Leaf with you. Leaf is a strange one. He's got some sort of magic powers. There's something about him. What ain't right? Little kid.
Yes,
Isaac?
on the boat coming back after we fought the undead sea monsters.
Yeah.
I cast Detect Magic. Did I notice anything on the boat? The boat itself?
No.
Okay.
So you make your way, on your way back also you got attacked by the undead, and you ventured into South Shore. Bart had a plea to save his people of Saltport, and Shikajla, leader, right here. I have these people out, kind of planning on pointing them out, but whatever. Shikajla, leader of the Yon-Teeth snake people of South Shore, said, we got our own problems. It seems like Alzira is building up an army and looking to fight. And that's where we ended. So begins. What episode are we on? Anyone know what
Anyways, that's the end of the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah. See you next week. That was it for this week.
So anything I missed? Anybody want to fill anything in? Any important characters that I missed?
You missed my character.
You mean important characters that died?
Yeah, my character did
important to the story.
My character,
important to the
my
story?
character wasn't Ukraine.
I don't
Kiev.
I don't think any of
wasn't
us were important to the story that soon.
So ends the
Missed out on Kiev.
We're on episode 26. This is now episode 27 of the campaign. So that's where we're at.
They didn't
So
talk much about Kiev.
2
Also,
years
they didn't talk much about our turtle friend too.
of recap. No, you didn't.
Oh yeah, he didn't do much. Yeah, we left him behind in Maz, and he died.
Poor guy.
They made
So
turtle soup out of him.
Our only original character is Finn. The other 3 have died. Rook is a new addition.
Well, I mean, I've been around. for a long
Actually,
time.
Francisco, you weren't here at the very beginning of this. I think you started a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
after.
you started after we started. David, your other character died.
I wasn't there the
Kiev-
first
Kiev
week.
died,
or-
and Kiev was
first-
he was
In the
lost at
cave.
sea at Crawport, and then he got
made,
re-enslaved, and then Alenta was capturing up some slaves while they were building their fortress in the
got
Dark Way down there.
caught.
And you were one of those. Kiev the Dragonborn, and then he
But I
died in
mean,
the explosion whenever Finn pulled that.
Yeah,
shot,
you had
itself.
the room of screw over all of our characters. You had the Dragonborn that you knew he would go for. You had the stack of gold that you knew Sam would go for. You had
right.
you had like one of everything for each character's like what they
Yeah.
wanted.
So
Yeesh.
there we go. Anything else? Anybody?
No.
Any questions?
Other than like super detaily stuff that doesn't really matter. No.
I tried to.
Yeah, there was a lot of like little things.
There was a lot.
but
I mean, this
yeah,
is 2
it
years.
was-
There's a lot of little things.
Yeah,
but I'll
yeah,
try to get the high
yeah.
points.
yeah, those
the
were
eyes
high
of Taras, very important.
Yeah.
I
Joe's
remember
old
the
character killing Francisco's old character. That was good times.
Oh right, yeah, that's right. Francisco's first character, who
Yeah,
one
he-
day before his background finally came into.
He was gonna live, and then that piece of shard just.
That ice knifed him to death.
Yeah. He was like, I'm gonna make
Oopsies.
it.
Man, that's a theme in this. Joe killing us. Kill Francisco, then he
uh,
killed us all.
Or you know what? For the campaign, I say that we should just go start at Saltport and just make ourselves our own.
We're done with
little
Saltport.
area.
Let me make sure we cover all my important characters. So we've got any
You want to
missing
make like a PDF and like
any
list
missing
them?
missing
Yes,
characters we've
make a
got. So we've
PDF.
got oh, I missed one. Lenzerus as a deer, Maris as a bear, and Tova
Yes.
as a young Yanti. Disappeared. Tova seemed to have snuck them out of South Shore and disappeared. She's gone.
Oh yeah, and we haven't been able to
So we
find
don't know where they are.
Yeah.
Garrick and Raoul, you don't know what happened to them after Vulcus and the South Shore folks went to the Grove and,
Yeah,
and
Laureus
ransacked it.
wanted us-
I put some green stuff in here because I was going to prepare for. I was going to go. Wink. It's not green anymore. It's all dead and burned out. There's no magic there anymore.
Where are
That
the
is
spider carcasses?
that is no longer a. There's lots of spiders are dead. Everything's dead up here. Raoul and Garrick, you don't know where they went. They've disappeared. Dawes, who was one of the last Hope folks, has disappeared as well. You don't know where he's at. And I believe that's it. This is the Emperor, the dad of Lori of Lanai. Lanai,
Is in hell.
was at that fight. So Lanai was in hell last you saw her. When that happened, whenever that explosion happened, it shook the Empire. Sim, who was a captain before, who was also the captain of Shiro at one point, seems to have taken over power. They're kind of falling apart, last you heard, and without their leadership. You don't really know why, but other than that. And
Yeah.
I think that's it. So
Is that it?
There's the mysteries of the Corin elves. There's a big mystery with Erelus and who Erelus is and what's going on with her.
We're all getting pulled in different directions.
There's a big mystery with
Terrassians.
yes, the Terrazians. Yeah, you finally got some info about the Terrazians. Some sort of Atlantean style myth of these ancients that were ascending. Alicia, who is the siren down in the water in the lighthouse, David's girlfriend. Something mysterious about her. She's not, apparently, according to Leaf and Leaf's friend, she's not who she says she is. I think that's about it. So where we are right now, you've got northern half of the island controlled by Alzira, the necromancer, who you've had a rocky relationship with.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
She owns Crawport. She owns the slave camps. She owns, which you've seen slave camps, they're empty. She used to own Saltport. No necromancer there anymore. She owns the little village over here, little fishing village, Adro, to the left. Yes, there is a town called Adro and a god called Adro. I know it's confusing.
What's this town up here? I don't even remember this town.
Which one?
The one with the well and the sign in the
This one?
northern part.
This one?
Yeah.
That's Saltport.
Oh, that's Saltport. Okay.
Yep. The Lizardman City is gone.
Yep, we blew it up.
You haven't seen a lot of lizard folk. There's been a few you've seen scattered around. You saw the family, but that's really all you've seen. You don't know where any of the living ones went.
Well, some are in South Shore.
Yep.
In
But-
the Lizard Man district.
Mm-hmm.
Alright,
we
for
go.
our campaign, I say we could declare dominance in that we're part of no group and we're our own. And we can do
Where's
that by starting at Saltport, get all the frogs to be on our team.
Okay,
No.
so I'm
the
I'm,
frogs
I'm,
are very strong.
I'm
Get the
listen,
frogs.
I'm
The frogs
cut-
were very strong.
I'm cutting the VOD right now. So this is the recap video. Now we can go on to episode 27.
Okay.